everyone, my name is Taylor Smith, aka the Career Coach, and today I'm talking about what's included in your job offer. So whether there's a congratulations in order because you just got the job, or maybe you are just getting ahead of yourself and you're trying to figure out what can you anticipate from a potential job offer in future. Either way, this video is 100% dedicated to you, so keep on watching. Again, I just want to reiterate that I am a career coach and I help college students and professionals get noticed by recruiters, stand out as a top candidate, and get offers for paid internships and full-time opportunities. If any of that resonates with you, then you are in the right place, so let's go ahead and get started with our video. Alright, so before we kick things off, I just want to explain really why I am creating this video. So I want to let people know that there's more than just salary. It's more than just the number that you're going to get year over year as far as your compensation and what you get paid on your pay stubs every 2 weeks, every week, however it's set up within your company. And the reason for that is because some industries, depending on which one you get into, they may pay a little bit less or they may pay a little bit more than others, and I don't want that to discourage you from potentially considering some kind of opportunity to you because you think it's not competitive to all the other options that you have. Definitely you want to take that into consideration, but there are so many other things. For example, the government. They may not offer as much of a competitive salary as other companies or other organizations are able to offer. However, they do have really great benefits. So we're going to talk about all the different things that are actually going to be included in your offer that may not be vocalized at first. So that way you can know and understand what types of questions to ask. And these are things that a lot of times you can actually negotiate, or you want to make sure that you're reaching out to the right individuals or call line so that you can learn more things about all the other items that are actually included within your package whenever you start a position with the company. The first thing we want to talk about is your salary or your hourly pay. So if you think about this, this is actually what you see before you get on your pay stub. So remember, when you actually get allocated your money, a lot of this is going to go to different taxes, and then also if you have a 401k set up, benefits, these are things we're going to talk about here soon. All of this is going to be deducted from your salary before you actually see what's on your final paycheck or your final pay stub. With that said, you want to make sure you're considering this and taking this into account, because you will also look at some cities, some states potentially that have a state tax on top of the national tax. So it may be a little bit more money that's coming out of your check than you anticipate, depending on the locations that you're looking at. In addition to that, every city and state, they all kind of have different varying standard of living. So for example, I live in Houston, Texas. The standard of living in Houston, Texas is very different than around the Silicon Valley, the San Francisco Bay Area, Los Angeles, all of that stuff over there, even New York, as well as multiple different cities within the United States. So with that said, you want to make sure that you're comparing the standard of living and making sure that you're going to be able to maintain the lifestyle that you want. Because although a salary of $70,000 within Houston is pretty good to live off of, you can have your own apartment, you can take care of a lot of different things. However, $70,000 isn't going to be very comparable within the Silicon Valley area. It's not going to allow you to have the same lifestyle that you would have here in Houston, Texas. They may tell you, they may offer you something closer to $80,000, $90,000, $100,000, and it's going to sound like a lot of money, but you want to make sure that you're still comparing the different things within the city, because their rent is going to be a lot higher, as well as their gas, groceries, so many other things within that city. So when you want to make sure you're kind of considering that and taking it into account as you consider potentially moving somewhere else, because it may seem like a lot of money, but actually that salary may be about the same as what you're already making. So it may not be as big of an increase as you thought it might be. So you have to make sure that you're considering these things. Some things that you could do with a little bit of research. So there is this thing called the 50-30-20 rule. This is basically just taking whatever you make within a month's time period and kind of allocating the money. So doing some research on what the rent and other bills may look like within that city, and allocating 50% to those needs. Another 30% would go to your wants. So this could be like any shopping, entertainment, other things that you just like to do but you don't really need to do. They're not necessities. And then lastly, 20% should usually go to your savings. So this is just a basic model that you can follow. You don't have to, but it may help to kind of map this out a little bit to determine if this is going to be a suitable life for you if you were to move somewhere else, and to kind of compare salaries. You can also use different tools on the internet that are like a salary calculator, where it can actually take the salary that you have in one location and calculate to see what would the equivalent be in another location or city. If you want to learn more about salary negotiations, to making sure that you're not leaving any money on the table and you're staying very comparable to whatever the market is offering, or you're staying within that standard of living or increasing it if you were to move to a different city or location, make sure you check out this video over here where I talk about that in a lot more detail in a way that is both appropriate and polite, to make sure you're not leaving that money on the table and you are negotiating before you accept that offer. So I do want to note that I have been seeing and hearing a lot more where recruiters and hiring managers, they're asking more about salary expectations pretty early in the application process, when normally this would be done during the offer portion, where they would tell you what the offer is and you have the opportunity to negotiate. But now I'm seeing where they're asking more questions about what your expectations for salary up front. And so I do want to mention that you don't want to try to put yourself in a box when this happens. You want to try to ask more questions when possible, so that you're not left to having to tell them what you're looking for or what you currently make, and it limits you and it puts you in a box rather than the threshold that they have available of what they could potentially offer you. So with that said, you want to make sure that you are doing your research early, which I talk more about in that video that I just mentioned about negotiation salary, but you also want to make sure that you understand the application process fully and what you can expect from each stage. So make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss next week's video, where I'm going to talk more about the application process and what you can expect from each step. So the second thing you may also be offered in addition to your salary is a relocation package. So this can be very common for a lot of rotational programs that are becoming very popular over the years, or if you are traveling and moving to a location that's beyond a 50-mile radius from your home. So if you're having to move somewhere and actually be closer to the facility, whether it's another state, another city, what have you, usually the company offers you some kind of relocation package. So this could be some kind of lump sum amount, or it could also be offering you the option of having movers come to your home and actually move everything for you, so you don't actually have to pay anything out of pocket. But if you would prefer to book your own moving service rather than using the one that company offers, or if you decide that you want to move everything yourself but you just want to pocket all the money to use for you to travel across with your truck, whether that's some kind of U-Haul, or maybe you're just moving everything into your car and you need to stay a couple nights at different locations because you have to move multiple hours away, what have you. Those are some of the options that you have as far as relocation packages go. So next is a stipend, which is basically a monthly allowance used for any housing arrangements. So let's say you're a part of some kind of internship, some kind of co-op, like we mentioned before, some kind of rotational program, or maybe you're on an international assignment in another country. All of these are great examples of where you may receive some kind of housing stipend, where they're going to pay for your rent or some of your living arrangements, because the standard of living may vary from where you were at previously before, or they just want to make sure that you're accommodated possibly that first year or for however long within that time period. So this isn't necessarily added onto your salary. In a way it kind of is, but this isn't going to follow you year over year, especially if you advance in the company and eventually the time period on your stipend ends. It's not going to follow you in your salary. So just be a little bit careful on that, but usually this is not taxed, as well as the relocation package like we mentioned before. Some companies, they may tax it, some may not, so you may just want to double check that in advance. Some companies also offer some kind of stipend or allowance also for vehicles and transportation. So let's say you are on an international assignment like we mentioned, sometimes they may offer you some kind of rental car. Some companies may just give you rental cars just included in their package overall, so or they pay for your vehicle like they do for my father. So these are just different examples, or they may pay for your public transportation if you're in an area where it doesn't really make sense for you to have a car, so they may pay for whatever public transportation is in the area and give you that for free. Up next is a signing bonus. So this is basically when you start at a new company in a new position, they're going to offer you some kind of bonus to kind of get your feet wet. So you can use this for a variety of things. Sometimes they give this to you before you start, or sometimes you don't see it until your first paycheck. But for me, I was able to use this because I just moved into my first real apartment and I needed to get some furniture, so that helped me out a lot, as well as with a few other things I needed just to get onboarded. But this could range anywhere from like $3,000 to even $20,000 plus, depending on the company, location, etc., that is going into your offer package and actually offering you. In addition to that, this is, like I mentioned, usually for your first position you get within a new company. If you were to get promoted and move within the company, you're not necessarily going to get a signing bonus, because this is usually when you first start with the company. Instead, what you can expect is some kind of bonus as far as throughout the year related to performance. So this may be your own personal performance and improvement, or this may be different company goals and targets that they reach as a whole. So these are things that you can look forward to, and you can also maybe ask more questions about that so you can understand that for future. 401k and pension, so this is up next. So the pension is actually the better option between the two. However, this isn't really offered and recommended nowadays by a lot of different companies. Instead, they may mostly have a 401k plan. However, the reason why the pension is the better option, because this is actually money provided by the employer instead of the employee. So this is actually a little bit more secure, and this is your money that you will collect for your retirement plan. As far as your 401k, this is more so a contribution by the employee. However, a lot of different companies, they actually contribute to your 401k plan, and they offer some kind of match programs. So some companies, they may have a small percentage that they offer automatically, but if you were to contribute 5% of your salary into your 401k, which is before any taxes come out, then you would be able to get the company to also match that and do 5% contribution into your 401k as well. So then your total contribution would be about 10%, for example. You could definitely learn and ask more questions so that you fully understand what a 401k is, what are the contribution match programs that the company offers, if any, and other additional details related to that. But basically, the 401k and the pension are your long-term retirement plan. So you want to make sure that you start saving and planning for retirement early, even if you are only about 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, because you want to make sure that you're planning for it in advance so that you can have enough money saved up for you in the future. Again, the difference between the 401k, I want to mention, this is more so an investment. So this is actually investing in the market. So you can actually select from different plans that the company will provide to you. You can take a more conservative approach, you can take a more aggressive approach, or you could do something in the middle, which is like a moderate approach, or you can actually create and select your own plans that you want as well to go into your 401k plan, which stocks you want to invest in, etc. There are also a lot of stock programs that the company offers, so you can actually purchase company stocks at a discounted rate. So these are also different options that you have available to you related to these. Up next, we have benefits and insurance. So this is really important, and it's really nice if your company actually offers this. So this is going to be like your medical, vision, and dental insurance. This is also going to be any life insurance. This is also long and short-term disability programs that they have, as well as selecting any beneficiaries, which are basically the people that would inherit your money in the case that you might potentially pass. But you can set up all of this stuff usually with your company. They'll talk about all the different options that you have, the different elections that you can select, the different programs and options that they have, whether you want to get the best medical insurance plan or if you want to get the basic one because you don't think that you'll really need that much. There's also health saving accounts, so being able to put money into some kind of savings account before you actually get any money taken away for taxes and all of that, that you can put in there. And so anytime you go to the doctor, you can just use this credit card that's linked to your health savings account, and you can use that in order to pay for your medical fees and what have you. So there's so many different things and included within this benefits package related to a lot of your insurance. Not all companies offer this, and it will vary per company, and sometimes you won't actually get this information until you start, but usually they have some kind of benefits hotline that you can call so that you can just get some general information before you start to decide if this is actually going to be a good option for you as far as what you do long term. Okay, number 7 is PTO or paid time off. So this will also vary per company, but this is basically the amount of days that you may accumulate over time that you can use for any vacation, sick, or personal days. A lot of companies use the PTO model, like I mentioned, with each hour or day that you work, you basically accumulate or accrue this time where you can use at any moment of time as your paid time off. And so maybe each hour you work, you accumulate like 0.10 hours of PTO time. And the longer you work, the more time you accumulate, etc. Sometimes these days roll over year over year, sometimes they don't and they start over. Sometimes some companies don't actually offer this. They have a set number of vacation days, sick days, personal days, and it may increase the longer you stay within the company. And then some companies also have this permissive leave program. So this is actually something that my employer offers currently, and this is basically allowing you to work things out with your manager as far as what days you're going to take off as far as vacation, personal days, etc. So there's not exactly a set number that exists, but you just want to make sure that you are scheduling that time with your manager. That makes sense and works for both of y'all's schedule. And lastly, number 8, we have miscellaneous. So this is basically anything that's important to you that you want to negotiate and making sure that it is available for you. So this could be any remote options. I think within the last few years, this has become a lot more common. So being able to have the opportunity to work from home as needed, whether that's 100% or maybe that's only going into the office 2 or 3 times a week and being able to stay home these other days. So this is also an option. You also have flexible work schedules. So maybe not having to work the standard 8 to 5 schedule, but working a little bit differently for a schedule that works best for you and accommodates your life. And then again, like I said, anything else that is extremely important to you that you want to discuss, whether that could be 980s. I think most of the time this is kind of dictated by the company, so you can't really negotiate this too much, but it's worth asking. You never know what things may lie, what things you could negotiate about and figure out and make work to your advantage. So you want to make sure you're bringing up a lot of these things up front initially, whether either during the negotiation phase so that you have all those questions answered for yourself while you're considering your offer, or maybe even afterwards when you start asking for some of these things as well. But it's better to go ahead and ask them in advance before you actually move in with the company so you can know what you're expecting and what you can potentially gain. Alrighty y'all, well that's it for this video. If you like this and if you learned something new, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. If you want to learn more about different career readiness tips, then make sure you check out the other videos on my channel. Or if you want to learn more about different career paths related to engineering, I'm soon going to have some videos around supply chain and other career paths. Make sure to check those out and stay tuned. I'm going to put my contact information as far as my socials, or if you want to book any services with me, as well as my website, in the description box below. But until then, you guys, best of luck to you guys. Happy job hunting, and I will talk to y'all soon.